welcome to What Remains of Edith Finch, and welcome to a unique lesson on how a chained narrative works. So we're going to get into the story a little bit before I explain. So I have control of my character, I'm looking around, but right now we're going to do as all things do. We're going to start with the written word.
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning, with the house.
All stories should indeed start at the beginning, wherever you feel that beginning should be. Okay, so we're in the middle of the woods. This is where the game officially starts. You know, that didn't take long, even though I technically had control of opening the book and all that. So first off, we're just going to do a little bit here, and then we're going to talk about how, through imagery, and I'm going to point out the imagery, and pay attention to the sounds you hear, pay attention to the things you see, because whenever you write something, you do the same thing. You use words to tell your reader what they see and hear. And so you're establishing tone and mood through that. And through establishing that tone and mood, you're creating setting, which also informs character. It all weaves together. So let's start by saying, you know what? That's a creepy looking building in the middle of the woods. Nope, not going there. Let's go the other way.
Someone had put up a chain link fence, but it looked like I wasn't the first person to hop it.
Well, there went that plan.
My brother Milton disappeared when I was 4. It was like the house just swallowed him up.
Okay. We have a brother who disappeared. The house has a chain link fence blocking the way in, and that's probably done by,
I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
That chain link fence was probably done by some sort of government to keep people from coming in here. She lived in this house, but was never allowed to go into half of the rooms. Makes you wonder what's in those.
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately.
So this place has been apparently completely abandoned all that time because the mail's still there.
I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral.
Okay, we have one brother, Milton, who disappeared, and we have another brother, Lewis, who obviously is dead because they had a funeral. And it's no trespassing. Looking at this, we're in the middle of the woods. It's dark. It's overcast, right? The place has been abandoned for years. Not only did the local authorities block this area off, but the family blocked it off even when they lived here. What is this establishing? I want you to think about this because we're going to be talking about it in just a second. So let's keep going. Listen to the change in footsteps. Now we're walking on wood, but that wood is over hollow space where the water's flowing through. And it makes that hollow echoing sound, which in and of itself is imagery.
In her will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought I'd know. Or she thought that the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
Well, apparently she was right, and if that's the house, who builds a house like that? The Finches. So the last name of the character is Finch, the family of the Finches. So this looks like the main way, but it looks like we have a path down here into the deep, dark woods. So we really can go either way, but me being me, and, you know, since I am technically playing a video game right now, I'm going to do what I do in most video games and go to the place that looks like it'll kill me. Because what could possibly go wrong?
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
Talk about establishing mystery and suspense.
The woods around the house have always been uncomfortably silent, as if they're about to say something but never do. The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
Alright, here's a good spot. So, I want you to think about the setting that we have established. The stuff I already mentioned. It's overcast, dark woods, isolated. You can hear the animals and stuff chirping, but you don't hear like a whole lot of pleasant birds or anything like that right now. You hear a few, but it's more of an evening birds sound. We have marsh here, very low-lying land. This place is abandoned. Based on this information, don't even worry about the house itself yet. That's a conversation we're about to have. But in this case, establishing tone and mood through the use of imagery. What tone and mood is it giving you? How does it make you as the reader, or in this case viewer, feel? So this is a time to pause, and you can handle this however your teacher wishes you to. You can have a class conversation, you can do a turn and talk, a stop and jot, whatever works for you. But explore that idea. And how is the author pulling off that tone? I've actually kind of told you that part. But what is the mood and tone that they have created? So if you will go ahead and answer that question, and teachers, pause now. All right, welcome back. So, now that you've discussed that, let's spring off from the setting a little bit and look at the house. The house itself, not only is it the main part of our setting, but in and of itself, it is also symbolic. It is symbolism that symbolizes the Finch family. Look at what that house looks like. Look at how it looks like it's been constructed. As we go through, we're going to talk about how this represents the Finch family and how it represents the structure of this story and, strangely enough, the structure of the stories you are going to write, because they are the same. So I'm going to continue to explore and let you see a few more things, okay? And we're going to try to find our way into the house because, you know, that seems like a great idea.
I asked Edie once about the dragon in the pond. She said it had killed her husband. I was 6. It seemed like an odd joke to me even then.
No kidding.
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words.
More missing posters that have been laying out here all this time. Now you hear the hollow footfalls on stairs.
Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house.
Okay. Hey, we've got a key. Let's try it.
I hoped the key might unlock the front door. It didn't.
Oh, hello.
Looking in, I felt like the house itself had been waiting for me.
Okay, there's a use of a literary device. Wonder if you know what that was. The house had been waiting for me. Okay, we are going to head this way. Of course, she gives us a key and it isn't to the front door, which in and of itself adds some level of suspense. Like, why wouldn't she give you the front door key? She's trying to find out these secrets, right? And Mom wants her to find out the secrets. But she doesn't make it easy for her. She makes her work really hard for those secrets. So I wonder how bad those secrets are. Wind chimes. Here we go.
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
Okay, just a quick look. Oh, hello.
The power had been turned off the night we left.
Well, that makes sense.
For the first time in years,
Open the door.
I felt like I was home.
Holy cow. Okay, so this is our first real glimpse of inside the house, and it looks like we're in the kitchen. And what do you see a bunch of that you think doesn't really belong in a kitchen? Books. 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 Those books represent something. They symbolize something. They are every single book, every pair of covers is at least one, if not many, stories. Let's keep walking.
But instead of a family, there were just memories of one.
Loving memory of Lewis Finch. 1988 to 2010. 22 years old. More books.
Like how after Lewis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly.
Okay.
Or how only one restaurant would deliver to our house. So we had Chinese a lot.
It's not such a bad thing, I guess. Okay, we can either go to the left or go this way. I'm going to go to the left. I want to see what's in what looks like the dining room. Boy, this place looks like something happened.
The table was still a wreck from the night we left. It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture.
Notice the wording there. It was like a bomb that had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture. And again, books everywhere. Pictures and frames everywhere.
My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great-Grandma Edie living in a nursing home. Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth.
Okay, that is an amazing use of imagery. Through the words, a smile with too many teeth. It's supposed to be pleasant, but it's incredibly unnerving. And look at all these books, still everywhere, and picture frames.
Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house, after it sank.
That must be the original house, and it sank, and they built another one. Okay. More frames, now with bugs and pictures. Let's try the basement, why not?
Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit.
Okay, so Mom has told her to, like, half of the rooms of the house she wasn't allowed to go in. She isn't allowed to go in the basement. And she didn't give her the key to the basement either. So what's this key for, right? We're going to talk a little more about this in just a few minutes. Let's take a look at this. Barbara, that's one of her sisters, I believe. Okay, I've got to turn.
Great-Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara. along with the rest of the house.
Find it interesting that you decide to put in the background of your little girl's music box a Bigfoot. I wonder what that's trying to establish. But if you look at the picture frames, which is another great example of imagery and the author using it, we see Barbara Finch's name on the back of an actor's chair. She looks like a child there. She was probably a child actor. Somebody collected bugs. There's a family portrait.
My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive. A lot of things got left behind in the whirlwind of that last night.
What is up with this door? This door alone establishes tone in a really amazing way. And look, all the books piled up to literally become a wall. You can hear the creaking of the house in the background. There is a peephole.
Edie told me once that every Finch who ever lived is buried somewhere in the library.
Okay, I want to back out. Okay, every Finch who ever lived is buried somewhere in the library. Obviously, they don't mean literally. So let's look at this for a second and its use of diction. One part where it said a bomb going off killing everyone but leaving the furniture. And here it says every Finch who ever lived is buried in the library. Through that diction, what is it trying to establish? It's trying to establish a couple of things about our character. I'm going to see if you can, this will be a good time to do a prediction. So based on this, where do you think, what is this trying to give us a hint of? And you can go back to the posters, go back to some of the things she said when we first entered the property. What do you think it's trying to tell us the situation is? I'm going to give you a few seconds to either turn and top, stop and jot, have a group discussion, whatever it is your teacher wishes you to do. Go ahead and do that now. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and keep going because we're going to get a little more evidence from that. Let's go up the stairs because I'm assuming that doesn't work anymore since the power's off. But more books. I thought I had a lot of books.
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes.
Okay, trying to get up the steps. I got hung up on something. Okay. We're going to go ahead and start going down there and work our way around. Okay? Alright. Tons of frames. Notice. Is there anything I can trigger up here? Even a picture all the way up here where nobody can see it. And that's on literally a massive saw used to cut down trees. You can see the ocean outside and a tree with some really weird bending limbs. Okay, let's go ahead and check over here. Sven and Edie. Sven, 1915 to 1964. Edie, 1917 to 2010. So what you're looking at here is birth year and death year. So both of these characters have passed.
The last time I was in Edith Sr.'s room, I was 10 and she was painting my portrait.
Okay, let's check the other doors. It's a picture of a Finch. Huh. What is this door? Gregory, 1976 to 1977. He lived 1 year?
As a kid, I just assumed every house had peepholes and sealed rooms you weren't allowed inside of.
Calvin, 1950 to 1961. He only lived to be 11. And then looks like another name, Sam, but I don't see a date.
My Grandpa Sam spent 7 years sharing a room with his dead brother, Calvin.
That's creepy. And more picture frames. Let's continue to explore. Let's do this one.
Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara.
So she was a child star in a movie called My Friend Bigfoot. And this was her room. Let's go and check out the picture first.
Edie's father, Odin, built the original house.
Edie's father, Odin. Interesting name. I think if you know anything about your Norse mythology, you'll know who he's supposed to be, and I wonder how that ties into this. And Barbara, 1944 to 1960. She only lived to be 16.
Barbara was a child star for 2 years, until America grew out of it.
We continue to see the massive amount of book motif all the way up to here. That's a weird door.
Mom must have locked the third floor stairs on the night we left.
So yet another section of the house we can't get in yet. Okay, we're going to head over here. We're going to check, let's look at this one. Molly, 1937 to 1947. She was 10.
Molly always seemed like a girl I could imagine being friends with, if she hadn't died in 1947.
Okay, so we've pretty much explored everything we can except this open door. So let's do that, and then we're going to have a final closing conversation about what we've seen here and some sort of activity to bring it together before we see some other parts.
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
So what do we see in Great Uncle Walter's room? It looks like it's underwater. Everything's painted like it's under the sea. Sharks. These are sharks, right? That is the old house, and after it's sunk, like they painted it while underwater. Like they didn't go underwater, but you know what I mean. And this looks like the back of a train, which doesn't really fit in at all. But and here we go, a book.
Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him.
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, a very famous novel by Jules Verne. And could this finally be where our key goes? This is the key Mom gave us? Yes. And it opens a book?
Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets.
No. It opens a secret
Now
passage.
it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of. From the paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me.
And this, you can tell a shift in tone right there. And this is where we are going to stop as soon as we go through this. But here's the activity I want you guys to do. And then I'll go ahead and bring this video to a close as I enter the next room. And you guys can do the activity before your teachers, possibly on a different day, possibly today, launch into another video as part of this. We have seen how our author uses imagery through the things you hear, the things you see, and in the case of writing, that would be through the use of words, and even in this video game, their use of words to establish not only the setting, but the character, the characters, like the mood of the family itself, who the Finches are. They haven't been touched by tragedy. Tragedy moved in and never left. And so think about that and what this may bode for the future. And your teacher may have an activity for you to do to tie this into whatever standard they're focusing on today. So we're going to go ahead and enter and go through this trap door. That is a really neat stained glass window.
Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan.
Once we get through here, we're going to stop.
But I had no idea what was behind that door. Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead.
And just like her, neither do you. So if you guys will stop the video, this is going to be it. And if you will do whatever activity your teacher needs you to perform, and we are going to pick up at a later time with a different part of the game. And we're going to learn more. So thank you for watching.